Welcome back, learners. So today I'm going to cover the next part of operator overloading, which is part 2. In the previous part, we have already covered the concept of operator overloading in with the help of a binary operator. So those who haven't watched the video yet, for that I have already shared a link in the description box, so you can watch that video first so that you'll get a clarity exactly that how does this concept is going to work. So you can get that video in the description box because I'll be providing the link in that. So let's begin this session with the part 2. In the part 1, in the previous part, I've covered this program. So I have designed one program here, complex. So in this complex program, I have taken binary operator so that you can see here that here in this one, what I did is I have taken like I have taken this C1 plus C2. I have taken two operands and the result has been stored in C3. So this is what we did in the previous program. So let's now begin with another program. In this program, I'll be taking a program on the unary operator. So what is the difference between binary and unary? I already covered in the previous part is that in binary operator, we have two operands and we have single operator. So let's see if you this is a binary operator because there are two operands C1 and C2 and we have single operator plus, right? So this is our binary operator. Now what is unary operator is in the sense that unary operator contains one operand and one operator. So there are various kinds of unary operators are there, such as you can see that you have increment operators like if you, an operand is there a plus plus is like a unary operator. Then again what you have is this is post increment. You can also have pre increment, you can also have post decrement, you can have also have pre decrement. Also you have unary plus operator, unary minus operator. So all these operators are basically are unary operators. What they are? Unary operators. So here we are going to change this. So in this program, so this is how the program is. Now what we are doing here is we will be taking only single operand. So how to take single operand is we'll be taking one operator which is unary minus operator I am taking. So here I am taking what? Unary minus operator. So here in this unary minus operator, what changes should I do so that it becomes a unary my operator? So here as I said that it contains single operator and single operand. So here I'll be performing negation operator, and this negation operator I'll be taking here and I'm just reversing this number and I'm storing in the another variable. So for that I doesn't require three objects. I can just use only two objects, so that I have taken C1 and C2, and for that here I'll be just removing the input from C2 as well, because I just wants to perform negation in the sense like if we have a is equals to 3, if I take minus a it becomes minus 3. That means uh, opposite of the opposite sign you have to take. If it is minus 3 it becomes plus 3. So here this is how my C1 is there. Then in this one I'm performing negation operation on C1, that is performing unary operator on C1, and the result I'm storing in C2, right? So in this way I'm performing what? Unary operator. And for this I don't require C3. C3. So C3, for that what changes we need to do in this one is here in this one, just I'll be removing this C3 again here, right? So this is how my program is, and a little bit changes I'm doing here so that we'll come to know the difference between exactly between what is unary operator and what is binary operator. So here, as I said, that I perform negation on C1 number, and the result I'm storing in C2. So I'll just print C1 as well as C2, right? So for that, again, in this operation, as I said you that it's a negation operation. I mean, it's a unary minus operator, right? So in unary minus operator, what you have to do is here in this one, instead of plus, you have to take minus. Now the important thing is that how can you differentiate this minus, is it belongs to a binary operator or a unary operator? Because binary operator means there are two operands, and unary operator means there is a single operand. So if you see here in this one, actually how many operand we have taken here? We have just taken only one operand. Okay, but previously for binary operator, how many operands do we take in? Two operands. That was like C1 plus C2. That means C1 was previously in that binary operator. So this is how binary operator, right? So this is an example of binary operator. So in the binary operator, what has happened is the C1 is for the first argument, is the first object, and the C2 is the second operand, right? And this C2 basically is been taken as an argument in the function operator. So now here complex C means actually it refers to what? It refers to C2. Okay, there is one argument, that too in binary operator, which is the second operand. But in our program, as we don't have second operand, only what we have is a single operand, that is C1 here, right? Single operand, and this is my single operator. So for that purpose, I don't require any kind of arguments. What I don't require is, I don't require any kind of arguments. Simply I can take null over here. If I take like this, it indicates that it is a form of unary operator. And if I take here complex C, something like, if I take like this, I mean, if any kind of argument if I take, now it assumes that it's a binary operator. That means it assumes as subtraction operator. But now it becomes a unary minus because we haven't taken any argument, because there is no second operand here, right? So for that reason, as there is no second operand, so do I need to take this? No, I should remove this one here. And here, do I need to do any kind of changes here? No, I don't need to do any kind of changes here. Now what you have to do here is, I have to take negation of this one. I mean, this actually A stands for C1 and this B stands for C1 only. That means this A is of real part of C1 and this B is an imaginary part of C1, because we have just C1, right? And there is a temporary variable we have taken. So what we are doing here is, we are just performing negation operation here in both of that. What we are doing is, for example, here 3 and 6 are the values, right? So it becomes minus 3 and minus 6. And where it was going to be get stored, it will be stored in a temporary variable, which is actually a complex number. And what is this return time, where it is going to get returned? Previously in the previous program, it was just returning to C3, but now it is returning towards C2. Because you can see here, the assignment operator is being taken for C2. That means this temporary variable is actually been returned to where? C2. Now this is how it happens, and in the same way, as you can do some changes here, instead of plus I, you can just take like comma here, so that to get differentiated, how does it represented? That means the number will be represented like what it will be represented, 3 comma 3 comma 3, like that it will be represented if there are two numbers A and B. So as per our requirement, what we have is, we have 3 plus I6, right? So how it will be represented? It will be represented as in this way as 3 comma 6. And what we are doing is, we are performing negation on that. That is, it becomes minus 3 minus 6 and it will be stored in C2, right? So this is how a unary operator is going to be get performed. In the same way, here we have get values as a function to receive the two values. The one is x is for real number and y is for imaginary number, and x is going to be stored in A and y is going to be stored in B. and here in the print, as I said, it will be printing the complex number, and in this one I'm just taking a temporary variable. Now this function says that it's a unary operator because there is no argument here, right? And also here we are overloading the operator, which is a unary form of operator. And also we have taken two complex numbers C1 and C2. The one is to receive the value 3 and 6, which is to be stored in object C1, and for that you are performing unary minus on C1, and the result is you are going to store in C2, and finally you are printing C1 and also C2. So in this way your program is going to be, get executed. So if you see that, if you just compile and if you execute that, simply I can write samp1. Okay, so here I'll be just saving this. Then yes, so just I'll show you this. Yeah, you can see here that 3 comma 6 is what for C1, and minus 3 comma minus 6 is for C2, right? What we have did is we have performed unary minus operation on complex number C1, where the result is going to be stored in C2. So that's why C2 is of minus 3 and minus 6. So in this way the output, it's going to be get performed. So that's how the difference between unary and binary operator. So let's see now, exactly what is going to be happened here. So that's how. So previously I was saying that I just explained you about binary operator. Okay, so if you see this point, this argument is not required. If you see the last point, you can get to know that argument is not required for unary operator. Just now I said you that there is no argument in unary operator overloading, but it is required for binary operator overloading. Then unary operator and binary operator, if you know that the difference is, you can see that unary operator contains single operand and single operator. That means op is what operator, x is was an operand, or else you can have plus plus a or a plus plus, something like that for unary operator. That's why, or x operate, x is what operand and op is for operator. For binary operators there are two operands, that's why x and y are two operands, and op is what, an operator. Alright, so in this way the things are going to be performed for unary and binary operator as well, right? Then moving on towards the binary operator, we have done already. So in this one, if you refer the last point, you'll come to know that the data members of the first objects are accessed without using the dot operator. In the binary operator, I have said you temp dot a is equals to a plus c dot a, right? A is actually what is for C1. C dot A is for what? C2. So that means first object is C1. That's why you are accessing without dot operator. And the second argument, which is C2, accessing by dot operator. That's why temp dot A is equals to A plus C dot A, right? So C dot A is actually for which one? It's for C2. Now, if you see this in unary operator overloading, like I said, you increment, decrement operator or unary minus operator are examples of unary operator overloading, where a function does not takes any arguments. So this is how the syntax here is. Like here in our example, what we have done is return type we taken as complex here, right? And as is taken within the class itself, so there is no scope resolution operator, then operator, and what operator symbol we used, unary minus operator we used, right? So here I just used unary minus operator, then here there is no argument, and this is my function, the body of the function. This is how the unary operator, which I explained you in the program, it was this one. And there are some operators which you can't overload, like we have membership operator, scope resolution operator, conditional operator. These are operators, but you can't overload them. That means you cannot use for some other purpose. That is how it means for. And this is very important to know about operator overloading is, like you have seen, I guess, in C language, that we have precedence, we have associativity, right? So in the precedence and associativity, what we have is, precedence is what the priority. That means the priority of an operator will not going to be get changed. It remains as it is, okay, even if you overload an operator. And associativity means what? If there is, if the operators are of equal priority, that means then associativity will apply, that is from left to right or right to left. So it will not also going to be get changed even if you overload an operator. That means there is no change in precedence. That means there is no change in priority. Precedence is like priority of an operator, and associative means the order on which the evaluation of an expression happens, either it is from left to right or right to left. That is also not going to be get changed. And once you have taken for unary operator, the operator will remain same only, which is single operand. And for binary operator, it remains only two operands. It will not be going to be get changed. Okay, unary operator will be as unary operator, and binary operator will be as binary operator. Okay, and whatever the operators that are being defined in C language, that operators are only used for performing operator overloading. So that's why there are no new operators that can be created for overloading purpose. Only the existing operators which are being defined by C language are being used for C++. And if you see that this overloading is actually been performed for user defined type, like as I said, an example of complex numbers, even it can also use for matrices. It's not for built-in types. So if at that time overloading will happen. But if you are taking two integer numbers and you are trying to overload them, it will not going to be get performed, because already integer values, like we have integer x and integer y, they are already been used to perform addition operation. So that means you cannot make it for some other purpose. So that's why you cannot change how two integers are added. It will be added as like as the in a basic way. Like I said you previously in the last part, that if x is 2 and y is 3, ultimately if you add both of them, you will get 5, because you are going to add two built-in type values. You cannot change the meaning, you cannot change their purpose. If you perform like this, like here example has been given, using operator function, if you are using and you are taking an argument int x and int y, then it results in syntax error, because that are being used for not for built-in types, but it used for a user defined type. So this is how something and concept which is related to operator overloading, right? So this is how an operator overloading is important for unary as well as for binary versions. So hope you got this. So by this, I'll just conclude this today's session. Hope you got to be informative. So if you have any kind of queries, you can post me on the comment box. Thank you.